Hi everyone. I just want to make sure that you are able to see the slides okay for the Zend certification presentation. We will be getting started right now. If you have any questions at all, please do put them in the chat window and address it to all participants, and that way I can see your questions and we'll be able to answer and reply in a timely manner. And I do appreciate you all joining today, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Debbie Otterstetter, and I'm actually the manager for the training and certification programs here at Zend. If you have any questions after the presentation, I will be giving you an email address that you can reach me and my team by, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that aren't answered in the presentation today. So what we'll be covering is helping you to understand what the Zend certification is all about, how you can get Zend certified, and what it means to become a Zend certified engineer. So hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot of your questions, and like I said, if you have any at the end of the presentation, we'll be happy to address them. First of all, the Zend certification program was originally put in place to be able to help establish a way of measuring somebody's knowledge with either the Zend PHP language or with the Zend framework. And this is a way of allowing employers around the world and allowing different developers to understand a certain level of knowledge that has been accomplished and that is understood by the people who have attained this certification level. It is also one of the most recognized PHP certification and credential programs that there is out there. It's very similar to a Microsoft Certified Professional certification, or maybe even the Sun Certified Java Programmer certification that you may have heard from. So we're hoping that you will be interested in attaining one of these certification levels, and like I said, we're here to help you do that. So what is a certification? Well, first of all, it's not just passing an exam. It is truly showing that you understand the technology and that you are familiar with it and that you do understand how to use it. There is a set of capabilities that you need to be able to do in order to pass the exam. And this is also a great way of potential employers to be able to help determine who would be a good employee to hire or maybe someone to contract work out to. If they know that you have been certified in the technology, then they are a lot more likely to go ahead and agree to do business with folks who have achieved that certification level. So we're hoping that that certification will help you do all that. So why should you become a Zend certified engineer, or as we like to call it, a ZCE? Well, first off, there is a very small group of people today that have that achievement, and we're sitting about 7,500 right now worldwide. So you can see that the number is growing. The certification program has been in place for about 4 years, and we are growing that by about 1,200 engineers a year. So having and achieving the Zend certification is quite a high level of recognition in the community. Employers are looking for people who are qualified developers, and being able to show that you have passed the Zend certification is a great way of showing that you do, like I said earlier, understand the technology and that you are among the elite group that have achieved that certification level. And Zend does frequently have employers contact us, or people who are looking for contractors who have achieved this level of knowledge, and they're eager to hire people that can prove that they have strong PHP skills. Some of the other bonuses of becoming a Zend certified engineer: you do get a free copy of Zend Studio and Zend Server once you achieve and have passed the exam. You also get discounts to PHP conferences, and I'd like to throw in a plug here for our ZendCon that is going to be held October 17th through 20th in Santa Clara in California. You are also able to download the ZCE logo, and you can add that to your resume, your CV, your business cards, or your website. And this again helps prove that you have achieved that level of recognition. We've also created a LinkedIn group that is specifically for ZCEs, and you can only join that group if you are a ZCE. So we think that that is a high level of recognition as well, and it allows you to communicate with your peers, bounce questions off of each other, share information. It's a really good community interactive level and group, and they are very active. The Zend certification test or exam is created by an advisory board, and we have two different boards that we've worked with to create these exams. One for the PHP level exam and certification, and one for the Zend framework certification. The people who are selected to be on this advisory board are subject matter experts in their particular topics, and we'll show you exactly who those people are in just a couple of minutes. The advisory boards help us create the curriculum criteria that is necessary to really show your expertise level in either PHP or Zend framework. They help us come up with the topic areas and the subtopics on the exam, and they actually write the questions for the exam. So when you go to take your exam, the different questions that are asked were truly created by PHP or Zend framework experts in their field, and they have determined that these type of questions that they put on the exam will really help you prove that you understand the technology. For PHP, this is a list of the people who were on that advisory board, and hopefully you'll recognize some of these names. Andy Gutmans is now the CEO of Zend Technologies, and Zev is our head of engineering. So several people on here, names you might recognize, Matthew Weir-O'Finney. A lot of these people have actually written books about PHP and Zend framework and are truly recognized as experts in the field. This is the Zend Framework Advisory Board, and again, the same type of people have been selected to help us create the exam. They're the ones who really know the technology better than anybody else out there, have written several books, and are the experts that people go to when asking and needing information about Zend Framework. Now, how do you become a ZCE? And hopefully this is a question that most of you are really interested in. We'll step into that now. We're going to be covering what's on the exam and what kind of help we can provide in helping you study and prepare for the exam. The PHP exam right now is based on version 5.3. The exam itself does contain 70 questions, and when you go to take the exam, you will have 90 minutes to complete those 70 questions. So as you see, you're going to have to know your material in order to be able to answer most of these questions. There is a varying degree of difficulty on the questions, so you may get some that are maybe seems easy, some that are a little bit more difficult, and that is what helps create the complexity of the exam itself. The 5.3 exam does cover 10 main topic areas, and we'll cover those in just a minute. The prior exams covered 12 different topic areas, and some of those have now been combined into 10 major areas. We did eliminate in the 5.3 exam any differences between PHP 4 and 5. That was on the previous exam, so those questions have been eliminated. There is still a lot of information or a lot of questions in the exam that were previously there for the PHP 5 exam, but it is still important and pertinent information as far as knowing PHP. And then, of course, we did add some new questions in regards to the PHP 5.3 features, such as namespaces. So those have been incorporated as well. So these are the exam topic areas. We cover PHP basics, data types and formats, strings and patterns, arrays, input-output, functions, object-oriented programming, databases, security, and web features. And I'll be giving you a link to the website here in a minute. When you look at these main topic areas, there are subtopics under each one of them, and the list of all those are provided on our website. And in order to see the details, here are the links to the certification. So you can get to these by simply going to our main website, www.zend.com, clicking on the Services tab, and then scrolling down to Certification. And from there you can click on either the PHP 5 certification or the Framework certification, and that will give you a list of details exactly what topics are on these exams. So a really good reference point for you. There's also a frequently asked questions link that's located on these sites. So I think that answers a lot of questions as well that you may have. So basic information about the exam. It is independent of the operating system, so you don't have to worry about that. We are expecting you to have a general understanding of related topics like HTTP and SQL that is required to be able to pass the exam. And the general setup and configuration that's expected would be register _globals is off, magic _quotes _GPC is off, error reporting is set to E_all, and errors are displayed unless it's otherwise noted. So those are just some general things to keep in mind when you go in for the exam, that these questions will be based under a setup with those requirements and configurations. Continuing on, during the exam, you're not going to be expected to code large portions of code, and basically this is because there just isn't time. In 90 minutes with 70 questions, you may get some questions that will need snippets of code written, and we'll give you an example of that a little bit later on. We don't expect you to have memorized the entire PHP manual, but we will expect you to understand and know the most important concepts and elements. For an example, the perimeter order for an important function. That would be something that you would want to have studied and want to clearly understand. You will be expected to analyze the PHP code. So you will be given code examples, and you're really going to need to do an analysis of it much more than just memorizing. So types of questions on the exams. There are 3 different types. You will get either a multiple choice question where only one answer is correct, or sometimes there are multiple answers that are correct. And those will be pointed out on the exam itself when you get to the question. And then there will be a couple of free text questions where you will actually need to type in the answer. And we'll give you an example of those here coming up. So now, all of you put on your PHP hats. We're going to take a couple of sample questions. So this would be how one question would be formatted, and this is where only one answer is correct. How is PHP internally programmed? I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to look at this one and write down your answer. Okay. Thank you, Sundar. Sundar says C. Anybody else want to put an idea in there? Go ahead and type in the chat window what you think the answer is, and send your responses to all participants. Any other brave souls out there? Okay. So the answer is B, which means it's written in C. So Sundar, you were correct. Good job. So that's one of the example questions that you'll find on your exam. This next sample question, this one has multiple answers. So take a look at this one. Which of the following are valid variables? And choose which you think are the correct responses. One thing to note on these multiple answers, you must get them all correct in order to get the answer to the question right. There are no partial credits. So let's go ahead and take a look at this answer. Good, we're getting some people guessing here. Excellent. So Sundar says A, B, and D. Dan says it's C and D. James, A, B, D. Any other guesses out there? Devore, A, B, D. Okay, let's take a look at the answer. A, B, D. So very good job, guys and ladies. It looks like most of you got that correct. It is A, B, and D. So we have one more sample question here, and this is a free text sample. So you would be given a snippet of code, and then you would be asked to type in your response. And so I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to take a look at this and figure out what the response is. And when you go in to take your test, You will be given either a pad of paper or an erasable whiteboard so that you can do some of your evaluations and come up with some of your answers. And I think we'll be covering that in a minute. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on and see what the answer is. The answer is 12. So hopefully you've got a good feel for the types of questions that would be on the exam. And I think that everybody is probably familiar with taking exams before. It is kind of the standard format with multiple choice, one answer, multiple choice, multiple answers, and again you have to get all of them right in order to get that answer correct, and then free sample or free text. So as far as study aids and resources, there are a couple of study guides that Zend has put together that are available for you. These are free. They're located on our website. You will need to log in order to download them. But there is one for PHP, and the title of that one is the PHP 5.3 Study Guide. And there's also one for the Zend Framework exam. These study guides do have more sample questions in them. So it's a good way of being able to determine if you fully do understand the 10 different topic areas that are being covered and if you're prepared to take the exam yet. We also offer test prep classes. We have two different classes, one for PHP and one for Zend Framework. These are online classes that are taught with a live instructor. Both of the classes offer mock exams as part of the class. The classes do not teach you PHP or Framework, however they do cover the different topics and help you really prepare for the exam. And then at the end of the class there is a final comprehensive exam that is also given to you. So it's a really good way of testing your skills and being taught how to prepare for the exam. These classes also come with a test voucher, and the voucher is what you're going to need to register for your exam, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The testing voucher is typically $195. You can buy that from our store, and you'll need the testing voucher, like I said, in order to register. So we do encourage you to download the study guides, and if you are interested, please do look at our test prep classes. The PHP class we offer in two different formats. There is an online class, which is live, like I said, taught over a series of days for a couple of hours each day. And then there's also a recorded session class that we've just started offering, that you would be able to listen to the recordings a lot more at your convenience, but that option does not come with the testing voucher. When you're ready to register and take your exam, you're going to go to the Pearson VUE website, and we've got the link there. Pearson VUE is actually our authorized testing center, so these test centers are not done through Zend. They're actually done through Pearson VUE. You do need to go to one of their sites, and they do have sites located around the world. You can go to this Pearson VUE site that we've got listed here and find a location near you by typing in the city that you live in the country. And that way you can find a site close enough and convenient for you to take the exam. Like I said, you do have to physically go into one of their centers and take it on their computer. I see a question here from Chris. So the sample exams are only available through the online courses now. He recalls that we used to offer some practice exams. That is correct, right, Chris? When we updated to the 5.3 exam, we eliminated the mock exam questions, and we offer them now. There is a set of questions in the free tutorial or the free study guide, and also mock exams are built into our classes. So when you're ready to register, you can register through Pearson VUE, either via the phone, online, or by actually going into a testing center. And it does vary by country, so please check online for what their restrictions and requirements are. You will be asked to bring 2 IDs with you. One must have a photo, and both of them must have your signature. So for instance, a driver's license, a passport, so both of those typically have your picture on them. That would be great, and they usually have your signature as well. And then you need a second ID with your name and your signature on it. So a credit card or a school or military card, one of those would work for you. As I mentioned before, when you enter into the exam center, you will be given a scratch paper or an erasable board, and that will be at your disposal for you to make your calculations at the time you take the test. You will not be permitted to bring any materials with you into the room. So there are no cell phones allowed, obviously no cameras, you can't take your study guide with you. It's going to be you and your brain and whatever Pearson VUE hands you to go in to take the exam with. You may even be asked to leave your watch and things behind. Most of the study centers will have locked lockers that you can leave your personal belongings in, but nothing can go into the room with you. When you get into the test, you will notice that you'll have the option to mark some questions for review. So if there are some questions that may need a little bit more time for you to review, you may want to go ahead and mark it for review and then continue on with the test and then go back to it when you're done at the end of the test. And the only way that you will be able to go back and review any of the questions is if you do mark it for review first. If you don't mark anything for review, you will not be able to go back. There's also going to be a place to mark comments on some questions. So if you feel that the advisory committee needs to know about a particular question, or maybe you disagree with the answers that were, the optional answers that were provided, you may want to go ahead and make a note to the committee. But do be cautious of your time. You only have 90 minutes to complete this exam. And like I mentioned before, you will be able to navigate back to any questions that you've marked, but not any of the others. So please remember that as you enter into the testing center. Once you're done with your exam, you will go ahead and hit the submit button, and you will get your results immediately on the screen. It will tell you if you passed or if you failed. If you pass the exam, as you leave the testing center, they will hand you back your belongings, and then they will also give you a report that says that you passed the exam. That will be your proof to your employer at that point that you did pass the exam. If you did not pass the exam, it will tell you in which of the 10 areas you need to study more. And we do encourage you to take that to heart, go back, restudy, and make sure that you're familiar with those areas before you attempt to take the test again. There is a 15-day waiting period before you're able to take the test a second time, so you'll need to keep that in mind as well. And you will need to purchase a second exam voucher, and Zend does offer a discount on a second voucher or a retake voucher, so you'll be able to contact us and we'll give you that special code for purchasing a second voucher. Once you've passed the test, there's a couple of things that you can do right away. One would be to display the Zend Certified Engineer logo, and you could put that either on your business card, your CV, your resumes, your website. Those are the two logos that we have now, the Zend framework, and also the PHP 5.3. You can also take advantage of our LinkedIn group, and you'll be able to join that group, answer questions, ask questions in that group. It's really a fairly active group, and it's a great way of interacting with your peers. You will be listed on the Zend Yellow Pages, and this is a listing that we offer on our website that allows potential employers or headhunters, recruiters, to go in and find qualified PHP developers in their particular areas and locations. So we encourage you to put that link as well, maybe on your LinkedIn listing or on your website. Do keep your score report so that if an employer is asking you to verify your status of ZCE from Pearson VUE, you'll have that with you. I see a question here in the chat window, so I'm going to look at this real quick. Since PHP 5.4 is available, I think it's quite reasonable to think that PHP 5.4 will be released rather soon. So what I'd like to know is whether or not you're planning to set up a 5.4 based exam, or will the 5.3 remain the relevant one. It does take a long time to roll out a new exam. We rolled out 5.3 last October, I believe, so it's a fairly new exam. We do not update it with every point release. And once a new release does get rolled out, it can take up to 6 months to actually get the survey or the exam updated. And this is based on the fact that we have to go back to the advisory committee. We have to have them reevaluate the questions that are currently on the exam, create new ones, and then get them all approved. So it is quite a lengthy process. So the 5.3 will be relevant for quite a while. So what is another benefit from taking the exam? These are a couple of comments that were actually posted on the LinkedIn page for a question that was asked by one of the other ZCEs. And the question was, have you benefited from the certification? This question had several different responses. And here's a couple that in fact did prove that it not only increased people's chances of getting a newer or higher paying job, but also brought them the recognition that they were looking for with that Zend certification. So we truly do feel that it's a worthwhile endeavor. If you've been working with PHP for a while, we encourage you to go for your certification. If you're already certified, we encourage you to update if you have an older certification as well, just to show potential employers and recruiters that you do know and are aware of the latest technology. So at this point, that is the end of my presentation, and I would like to open it up to any questions. And if you have one, please do type it in the chat window and address it to all participants so everybody can see it, and I'll be happy to answer. Okay, thank you, Yuri. Yuri didn't have any questions, but he says thanks. What version of Zend framework is the exam based on? Good question. And off the top of my head, I want to say it's 1.9, I believe. Let me go ahead and, that is in the frequently asked questions on our website, so I'm going to actually go and check that out right now myself. The Zend framework version is it's based on 1.5. So that is the latest version. What's the best way to prepare for the exam, I'm assuming, Bernd. And the best way to prepare is really to make sure that you are looking through the study guides, answering the mock questions. That'll give you a really good idea for if you're ready to take the exam or not. But practice, making sure that you're aware of the 10 different topic areas that are covered, that you're familiar with all the subtopics in those areas, and continue to practice. The more you use the technology and the tools, the better prepared you will be. And again, I do encourage people to take our test prep classes if you can do that. They're very helpful in preparing you and informing you of the types of questions that are going to be on the exam and really making sure that you're ready. Is there a plan to change that in the near future? I'm assuming, Sundar, you mean the framework exam. I know that there is a new version of framework coming out. I believe it's 2.0. I don't believe it's going to be released until the beginning of the year, but that's just kind of what I'm hearing. I don't have an official time of release for that. So again, it would probably take about 6 months to update the exam based on when the new release comes out. So the current exam will be the current one for probably at least the next 9 months, maybe to a year. Any other questions? So we did have one question here from Nimshad. Which part should we concentrate on more for the PHP certification? You need to know all 10 of those main areas there, and the questions are randomly selected on the exams, so different people will get a different set of questions, but there will be questions asked in all 10 of those main topic areas, so you really do need to be familiar with all of them. Dan asked, how well does the PHP training class prepare you for the exam that you guys offer? What is the time frame on the training? Excellent question, Dan. The test prep classes for PHP, it is 9 days of training, usually Monday through Friday and then Monday through Thursday, 2 hours a day. We do offer them at different times during the day, and I believe it really does a good job of preparing you for the exam, especially with the mock exams that are built into the class. Not only do you get the benefit of seeing the types of questions that will be asked, and these mock exam questions were also built by the same people who built the exam questions, but you'll get the benefit of being able to ask why that is the correct answer to the live instructor that you're dealing with. And everybody who teaches our exams or our test prep classes has been certified and is up to date. So hopefully that answered that question, Dan. Alex asked, the 5.3 study guide includes OS-specific example questions. Are they excluded from the actual exam? That's an excellent question. That's something I need to look into, Alex. I'm afraid I don't have that answer at the top of my head. But if it is in the study guide, then that would make me tend to think that, yes, there may be some on the question, even though this presentation said that there weren't. So I'm going to give you guys my email address, and if you want to go ahead and email me some specific questions, I'll be happy to look up and answer you back in private. Is there a private exam available, a practice exam available for the Zend framework? There are no mock exams for the Zend framework. The only mock exams that are available are the ones that are in the test prep class, and it's built into the study guide. Dan? Let's see, Alex. So will any mock questions be available with your course? Yes. During the course itself, or during the test prep courses that we offer, there are several mock questions that the instructor will go through with you. And then for the PHP course, there are actually 3 different mock exams that you will take home, do overnight, bring back to the next class the next day, and review with the instructor and your fellow students. So there are quite a few mock exams that are available in the course. Christoph, are some special offer for Zend Framework certification for ZCE PHP 5? And do you mean like a discount for the exam voucher? Currently we are running a special, so if you are a ZCE for PHP and you want to take the Zend Framework exam, we are offering a special discount to current ZCEs for an additional voucher to either re-up your certification. So if you're certified on PHP 4 or PHP 5 and you want to take the 5.3 exam, we do have a special that's running through the end of September. So hopefully that answers your question. And again, please contact me at debbie.o@zend.com, and I'll be happy to get you that special voucher number or discount code. How many years of practical experience in PHP do you believe is necessary to pass the exam without classes? Brett, excellent question, and it really does vary by person. So, for instance, one of the main guidelines that we typically give people is if you have built a web page from scratch using PHP, then you probably have the basic understanding well enough to take the exam. So that would all depend on what your experience level there has been. The percentage for the amount of questions that involve OOP, again, Dan, I don't have that level of detail because each exam is slightly different. But it is one of the 10 topic areas that you do need to be familiar with. So if you feel that that's a little bit of a weaker area for you, I would recommend that you do some studying in that particular area before you take the exam. So I'm missing some of the questions and answers, I'm afraid, but can I attend sample exams via online? There are no mock exams available that you can take online. Again, the only mock exams that we have are available in our test prep classes and also built into the PDF versions of our study guides. Resources to prepare for the cert. I think there was a slide here that gave a couple of recommendations. I'm going to go back to that now. There you go. So we've got our study guides. There's also several books that have been written on PHP, and probably one of the most valuable resources, if you aren't aware of it already, is php.net. That actually is the open source website that we refer people to all the time, where you will be able to find the actual PHP manual, as well as a lot of really good information on that particular website. Very good question. How many out of the 70 answers must you answer correct actually to pass the exam? And again, we don't publish that number either, and that's based, one more time, on the fact that each exam is slightly different, and since the questions are weighted, it's really kind of impossible to say. It depends on the individual exam that you happen to get when you're taking your exam. But what we do say is you do need a good level of knowledge and understanding in the 10 major topic areas in order to pass the exam. And Bernd, I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. I understand English may not be your first language, so please feel free to stay on towards the end, and I'll be happy to answer any additional questions that you might have. And I'll try and go a little bit slower. And I'd be happy to email you the answer. If you can go ahead and email me, and I'm putting this in the chat window, my email address. Email me your specific questions, and I'll be happy to email you the answers. I think I've got all of the questions out of the Q&A. Are there any additional questions that you might have that I can answer for you? Well, I'll stay on for about another 10 minutes if you do. If not, I want to thank you very much for attending our webinar, and hopefully I was able to answer some of your questions that you may have had about the certification, and hopefully we'll be seeing your name on a certification soon, and wish you the best of luck with your exam. Thank you.